Hey guys, we're back at it again with another Nom Studios podcast. My name is Theo, and today we have Beth Bucheister here with Career Day Inc. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for that great pronunciation.
I know, I had to make sure I practiced. Do people usually get your last name pronunciation wrong?
Yes,
What
they
do they
do.
usually say?
Bucheister, Buchmeister, Buchmeister.
Well, Bucheister. I know
Hmm.
because Rich Tavares I was like, how do you pronounce her name? He's like, Bucheister.
Hmm.
So I'm glad I got it right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And so you are founder and operator of Career Day Inc. What is Career Day Inc.?
So, as the executive director of Career Day Inc., I work to inspire students through career choice awareness. And it's really a work of the heart
Uh-huh.
because we bring in professionals to speak to students in various schools with various backgrounds. And the idea is to show students the wide range of professions available that they may not know about.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this? How long has Career Day Inc. been around?
So the very first idea for it happened, unfortunately, 2 years after my husband was killed. I don't know how I did it. I don't know why I did it, but I said, I think we need to do a career day at my daughter's high school. And we had a scholarship component with it and didn't really go anywhere. We weren't quite an organization yet. And a few years later, I met a young lady who said, and I thought she was going to say, you're Heidi's mother. And she said, you're the career day lady. So I knew that we had a lasting impact. And with that, we created a 501c3 nonprofit. We're able to connect with BOCES, all three BOCES on Long Island, Nassau, Western, and Eastern Suffolk, to provide funding to the schools for our programming. And yeah, so because of Ari's legacy of I don't care what you do, just do something,
Mm-hmm.
and battling with the phrase of it's not what you know, it's who you know,
Mm-hmm.
our theory is, and his theory was, it's not who you know, it's how many people you know. And the more people you know, the better off you are, the more connections you can make, the more ideas you can have, and, listening to other people's ideas.
Okay. And Ari was your late husband.
Yes.
And did Career Day Inc. really stem off of him and the unfortunate tragedy that happened to him, or was it just like your memory of Ari and what he stood for and what he said to you that kind of just led its way into Career Day?
Well, unfortunately, we had some funding that we were able to use to get started with, which was in the form of the reward fund
Mhm.
to find out who killed him, and it was never able to be used. So, in fact, I would have kind of rather had that crime solved for our family. And years later, when I realized that we had funded it and that it needed to have a purpose, that's where that money went to start
So
off Career Day Inc.
The purpose stemmed from something else. Okay, so what made you say that your daughter needed like a career day? What was it about your daughter's school that you're just like, the kids need a career day?
So that's interesting. And no one's ever asked me that perspective before. So it definitely wasn't for my daughters. Not that they didn't need introductions to different careers. Certainly, many people grow up thinking they're going to go into their family business, and that was no longer available for my daughters. But it was for the community as a whole. They grew up in Oyster Bay, which is a very diverse community. People don't realize how diverse it is racially, socially, economically. And I could see that the students needed direction. And I could see that the schools weren't able to provide that in their regular everyday programming. They're more concerned about, the subject matters and test scores and what colleges the kids are going to go to. And we had a different perspective. Ari's perspective was, I don't care what you do, just do something. And the kids always hung around my house with us, and he would talk to them and say to them, get off your butt and do something and think about your future. And for high school students, that's a big message.
Mhm.
And so we want to keep that message going forward of there are opportunities if you take them. There are possibilities if you look for them. And by meeting the people that we bring into our programs, the professionals of so many diverse careers, pretty much every career you could think of has been represented at one point. 600 people have been involved in speaking to our students in the last, I think it's 6 years now. And that's huge. And so it wasn't necessarily for my daughters, but it was for the community as a whole. And with that, spread throughout Long Island. We do a couple programs in New York City, and that will grow.
What is your background? Like, what did you do? What did you do for your profession? I feel that you hold yourself really well. I feel that you speak really well, that you know your analytics and everything. What did you do before this?
It's funny that you should ask. I hated statistics. That was my least favorite topic. So in high school, actually, I had the opportunity to do one semester of what they called the New York City Executive Internship Program. Mm-hmm. And so everybody had a different job or different job placement. I was at the New York City Board of Education with people who were speech pathologists, psychologists, educators, a diverse group of people who met with students. Through that, I knew I wanted to be in the helping profession. I no way wanted to be a retailer. It was, I thought, a cutthroat business, dog eat dog, and who's going to get the best price and all that. I didn't want to do that. So go down the list of helping professions. I had known a young girl who was deaf, and I thought audiology sounds great, or speech and hearing at first. No chemistry required. Yes. And that's what I did. Undergraduate at Boston University, speech and hearing. I got a master's in audiology. I worked for a short time in audiology. And Ari, I met third day of school. He was a junior. And he got his PhD in chemistry at Brandeis, organic chemistry, which is kind of ironic, right? Yeah. But it's the hardest topic for people in college. And so he tutored, and he really excelled at that. And we moved back to New York for his job, and I got a job in audiology, and neither one of us were really satisfied working for somebody else. And Ari said, I have to be my own boss. He was an immigrant. His parents went through the Holocaust. And so he really wanted to create his own destiny, which is ironic when you think about it. And so we ended up buying my parents' clothing store. And so here I had a stage, I had a platform, I could use my social skills, I could use my Spanish skills, and I could use my helping skills, because when young people would come in and they'd have to get an 8th grade graduation outfit and they didn't want to, I really had a way of connecting the parents and the kids. And I literally had a stage. I would give like math and spelling tests at the cash register. And so I love connecting with people, and I love just affording people more opportunities, as we did. Ari was a landlord also, and he would drive a classic story. He drove this young lady home from landlord-tenant court and said, you're a smart girl, you're a pretty girl, you can do better than this, how can I help you? No landlord does that, So it was quite a unique experience. And then when he was killed, the rug was pulled out from us. He died almost instantly, and I felt such a betrayal from the community, and also support. People came by the store for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so we stayed open for 2 years. And after that, I had to recreate myself. And so I got a degree in life coaching, and I did that for a while. Now I still do some bereavement work with people and groups. And then what? And so here's the reward money. Here's my people skills. Even when right after Ari died, someone said to me, you make everybody in the room feel like they're the most important person. And that stayed with me forever. And I think, if I can say, a little emotional, I use that in my approach to the professionals that we work with, to the schools and to the students. and my greatest joy recently is when a student will say, can I take my picture with you? Because it shows me that they value my presence.
Yeah, I mean, my next question to you was going to be like, what makes you different? What makes you, Beth Bucheister, or Career Day different? And I think you really just explained it right there. Your passion to help people, to help students. You take your time with everybody. It's not just sitting in a gym and listening to somebody speak. Can you go into how you set up these Career Day classes or events for the school? Like, if I'm a student, what am I getting ready for? Or if I'm a speaker, how do you get me ready to talk to the students?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was talking to one of our newer board members this morning. So it's listening and preparing. So knowing who you're talking to and knowing kind of what's in their head, or trying to figure out what's in their head. So for students, one of the things that we do that's unique is give them a choice. So here, for example, Hicksville High School, 1,800 students. Here are the 70 professions that are coming in today. Tell me your 10 most popular choices, and I'll give you a selection of those. And so the students say, well, I asked to speak to the pilot, and I got to speak to the pilot. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, and they say, oh, I didn't know I was going to the physical therapist, and I went to the physical therapist, and that's a great field I never knew about. So opportunity, listening, exploration, and choice for the students. For the professionals, we have a training program that they attend before the program, and we tell them, tell your story, make it personal. Yes, the kids want to know what's the day and what's a day like in the life of an engineer. On the other hand, they want to know why you chose engineering and what are the challenges and what are the future in your field. And when I sit in on the presentations, the response from the students and the interactions with the professionals and the students, I get to say, this is a feel-good program for everybody. The teachers see their coursework put into real-life stories. The professionals say, oh, now I'm back in touch with why I do what I do, and I got to give students a feeling of opportunity. And the students are like, wow, that JetBlue pilot came in to talk to me about the need for people in the aeronautics field. So it's a I never said this before, but it's a home run.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. Like, how do you do it? I mean, because not only are you giving opportunities to the students on that side, but you're teaching and giving opportunities to professionals that I'm sure that you handpick, that you meet, and you're just like, you'd be a great speaker. How do you do it? How do you find the time, the money, the space to educate people on both sides of the coin, so to speak?
It's this love of people, right? So I can be on vacation having dessert in Quebec City and listen to two young ladies next to me, and then I tell them about our program, and they work in the theater business, and they're like, yeah, we want to come. So there used to be a commercial, you tell two people, then you tell two people.
Yeah.
And so I always say I need the biggest Rolodex or the biggest list that anybody can have. Anybody know what Rolodex is anymore?
Yeah. Well, I do.
And so, we've had 600 professionals come, and that's because I need to have, for 80 person requirement for a school, I need to have 200 to ask because the engineer or the architect or the language instructor may not be available that day. So it's a lot about word of mouth, a lot about introductions, and I think that's the best way to get somebody who knows somebody. It's such a small world when you think about it. And we've been very lucky that people value our program and tell their colleagues, tell their families. We have a lot of teachers who say, my brother does this or my cousin does that. Can I send them over? And people who've been in the community that we work in.
Okay, so you started talking about your stats. You said you have 600 professionals, I think about 25 schools.
Right, 25 schools that we've been, 25 programs, more than a dozen schools, because some we obviously repeat. And then we've worked with more than 12,000 students.
Okay.
I think that number really blows us away. And I believe
Over 6 years.
We've given about $12,000 in scholarship money as well.
Is there any students whose experiences or feedback that you've gotten that's really like touched you over the years?
It's interesting because someone asked me that this week, and there's so many stories. And the most recent story is a young lady who was so shy in the interview. They answer 3 short questions and then meet again with a professional that inspired them, which I think is a gift in itself, right? That someone will take the time to meet with you one-on-one in the interview process. And she was so shy but so determined. And she had been a new immigrant, and the young lady who inspired her, her family had also been immigrants, prior generation. And she said, I was told that what my interests are only for boys, but I see that you can do it, and you're a girl, and you're a young woman, and if you can do it, I can do it. And I'm not so good at math, and you said you weren't so good at math either, so I know I can do computer science because that's my interest. And she said, I can't do a lot of extracurriculars because I have to work at Walmart after school to help provide for my family. And, just kind of really, really touches your heart. And then when we gave her the scholarship, she came to school beautifully dressed, really took care of how she presented herself. So we're giving students this confidence to say, oh, I'm being recognized. And she said to me, I never thought anybody would recognize me in this way. And then she said, I never told anybody, but my father died right before we came here from India. And so my story is like your story. So the idea of moving through tragedy and finding a way to be successful and recreate yourself. I mean, we were all just so moved by her.
And how long ago was this?
This is this current year.
This current year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to touch base on her in about a year or 2 or 3 to see, speaking of, I'm cutting myself off, touching base, have you touched base with any of your past scholarship winners?
Yes.
It's been around 6 years, so I'm assuming some of them are out of college already. Like, how are they?
So there's 2 more stories. I'll try to be brief. There was a program at a high school that was interrupted by a bomb scare. Okay. It was nothing. It was 2 kids being silly during a science fair. And we had to evacuate the school. And this young lady stopped the person who she was going to speak to in the next session. And she said, I'm really interested in what you do. Can I get your number? Can I, be in touch with you and learn more?
In the middle of a bomb scare.
In the middle of a bomb scare. And it was crazy. And the thing is that this was the one student who stood out in that school to show, which is our scholarship requirement, how did the Career Day Inc. program affect your future education goals or training? And with such an abbreviated program, she had to be selected. She came back this past year to speak to students at the New York City program that we do for multi-language learners, and talked about her career. And she ended up in a similar career as my daughter Carly in healthcare PR. And she said that, getting that award gave her confidence to go out of her shell and to listen and talk to people more.
That's awesome.
How great is that?
That's
right?
awesome.
Yeah.
With the roundabout.
Yeah. And the other story is a student who was inspired by Elizabeth Deitz, who's the assistant chief of police of Suffolk County. Mm-hmm. And she had also gone to East Rockaway. She came to speak to the students. And this young lady said, well, the reason I want to be a police officer is because I want to be a lawyer. And I want to see how the law is put into effect in the real world. And that was the exact path of Elizabeth. And this young lady has an internship with the FBI, and Elizabeth keeps in touch with her and is helping her with her career journey.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is really amazing. So you're really making a difference in these kids' lives.
I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking about the kids and the difference that you've been making in their lives, but one thing I do want to touch on is the schools and the school professionals themselves. It's not any secret that schools are understaffed and that they need help. How do you get these professionals? Like, I know you know the principal of Hicksville High School. How do you get other professionals to give you the time of day? Because I know for a fact that sometimes it's like, oh, we don't have time or budget for that. And they kind of brush you off. Mm-hmm. How do you get in there and say this is what the kids need? This is what you guys need, and show them this is an amazing program?
Well, so over the years, we've definitely become more of a package, right? This is what we're bringing you. In the beginning, we were like, can you help us do this? Can you help us figure it out? And now we have a program that sets the student schedules. All they have to do is give me the student information and what they've selected, and we give them a day of schedule. So there's much less work for the schools to do. So especially with New York State guidelines coming down with career readiness being a priority, it's becoming easier to say to a school, take your staff and let them do what they do, and let us come in and do what we do. Mm-hmm. A lot of times it falls on the guidance department. The guidance department is busy guiding the students, working out their schedules for the coming year, the college applications, the work study applications, whatever it is. And so we take the approach that we're helping you take the burden off your staff.
Okay.
And it is a partnership. The schools do have to do some, work with it, but it is a partnership. And I think we bring in a really nice package. And the fact that they have money in their BOCES Arts and Education Exploratory Enrichment budget does make it easier over the years. Okay. The tricky thing with schools is getting in the door. Yeah. They're very protective of their students. They're very protective of their staff. And I think more and more the word of mouth, like Ray Williams, the principal at Hicksville High School, or Rich Schaefer, the principal at East Rockaway, talking to other principals, the superintendents, telling other school districts how successful it was. That has really been helpful.
Okay. And here's a little, as you were talking, I just thought about this. And you might not have the answer to this because it's brand new, but I just saw the other day that one of the top professions of, I don't even think it's Gen Z, I think it's Gen Alpha right now, that they want is to be like a TikToker, an influencer, a streamer. Like, have you ran into anybody, any professionals who are in that space right now that you can bring into Career Day Inc.?
So Isaiah Griggs from
Music Breeds.
Music Breeds, thank you,
Yeah.
talks to the students about how they can make money while they're in high school. Not to detract from what they're doing in high school, but to monetize their interests. As whatever gen I am, I fear the overextended time of people being involved in social media.
Yeah.
And the reality that may or may not present, right? So I'm a mom, grandma, and I want to protect the kids, right? So I think it's important to monetize your interests, and I think it's also important to be balanced.
Okay.
And I think, like you said, you have to listen to the alphas and see what they want. And I think a lot of it is about getting introductions to people who are already working. So whether it be our professionals who come in to talk about cybersecurity or AI, and the things that AI can do or not do, I think that's a positive way to go with the students.
Okay. So now a parent is listening to this or professionals listening to this. How do they get involved?
Well, I think I have the easiest email to remember. It's beth@careerdayinc.org. If you know it's Career Day Inc., add a Beth at and .org. We are out and about. Talk to people at your schools. Tell them that you think this is a program for them. In fact, we're at one school because a woman who's a physician assistant came as a speaker, and she said, "Why aren't you at my student's school? Let's make that introduction." So the parents have the ability to make that introduction to their schools.
And who's the introduction you need? Is it the principal, the superintendent, the guidance counselor?
Yes.
What's the best introduction?
I think usually superintendent of assistant superintendent of instruction, and then the principal. Head of guidance is also a great way. So whatever professional in administration is interested in the program, that's who we need to connect with. I'm having breakfast tomorrow with a speech pathologist from Comac, and she's really interested in our program. She says, "I have no power, but I really want to learn what you do." So I said, "Well, if you like it, then you bring it to your administration." I really believe in the power of connection. So I'm sure you're surprised to hear that. But I think the superintendent has the power and the principal has the ability.
And you do have an event coming up. It's the summer soiree. What's the date for that?
It's August 21st.
Okay.
It's being held at the President's House at Nassau Community College. And we have some new scholarships to announce at that program.
Okay.
So that's going to be great.
And you can only get the scholarship if you are a student at the school that has the program.
That is correct.
Oh, see? So school officials, more scholarships. You need to get Career Day Inc. in.
Yeah. And we have a new scholarship, a family-sponsored scholarship that is going to two students, $4,000 and $1,000 to two students who are interested in STEM who have already been accepted as our scholars. Okay. So that will be announced. The winners will be announced on the August 21st event.
And I didn't ask this, but this is just high school, right? Do you do college, elementary, or is it just specific in high school right now?
So high school, we do some short programs at middle schools, panel programs, which are highly successful as a way to introduce perhaps eighth graders into, what's ahead for them. And mostly high schools. I mean, sometimes just a particular grade and sometimes the whole school.
Okay. And what is the goal? Like 5 years from now, you close your eyes, think of Career Day Inc. in another 6 years now, another 6 years, or another even 12 years. Like, what is your dream, your vision, your goal?
My dream is 6 or 12 years from now to have a staff of people who do what I do, the nitty gritty, the printing and the collating and the emails and all that, and a waiting list of schools wanting our program, and then perhaps going statewide or national or wherever the wind takes us, to show schools the importance, so important, to introduce students to possibilities, to raise their confidence, and to speak to every student at every academic level. I think that's another thing that's important to stress, that our program is not for the football stars, not for the valedictorians. It's for every student has the opportunity to receive our scholarship and to benefit from our program.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
That was a nice one. Yeah. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your teachers, tell your superintendents. We really want to be able to bring our program to more and more students.
So, well, thanks for joining me today, Beth,
Thank you
on
for you.
short notice. I know I asked you super late, but I knew you'd be up for it.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you.